Hello everybody. Today I have my favourite person to have on the podcast, no offence husband, is my gorgeous friend Sarah. And we are going to be diving into today a perception shift when it comes to your body. So I'm not going to tell you any more than that. We're going to go straight in. So without further ado, let's dive in. Hello, Sarah.
Hello, Lucy.
It feels weird calling her Sarah. I just call her Babe.
No, we never call each other by our names.
Do we actually ever say each other's names?
I don't think
we're
we
like
do.
a couple.
Yeah,
Babe,
I don't think we do.
Babe.
Only maybe when I talk to my clients and say you need to work with Lucy. That's probably the only time.
Yeah, okay, and I say the same, like speak to Sarah. Things don't sound good. So I wanted to invite you back on the pod because obviously you came on the pod first time last year when I was in the studio and I was launching, and that meant a lot to me. But for me, there was just so much coming up right now in the work I'm creating inside the Goddess Code around having it all, and particularly when it comes to the narrative that women have around their body and what it means to have it all with body, with business, with life, with money. And I just felt there was nobody better to really come on the podcast to talk about the topic, really, which you could umbrella under the word nourishment. So, Sarah, I guess for somebody who doesn't know you, for someone who's new to the pod, or, you know, I can do vice versa the same, I would love for you to just share a little bit about what it is that you do, because it might just help a bit of context as to what we're going to talk about today. And actually a little bit maybe of how your personal story led you there, because I think that that's the bit that we're probably going to end up talking about most.
Yeah, and I could talk about that probably for about 3 hours solid, because
So
it's been
it
a
could
journey.
be a long one.
So I am a trained naturopathic and functional nutritionist. So working mainly with women in their 40s and beyond, really helping them thrive again as they age and go through kind of menopause and all the shifts that start to happen for females when they feel a little bit like they've lost who they are and lost their bodies, and all this interesting and weird and wonderful stuff starts coming up. And I think the problem is, as females, we're really not educated on how our bodies actually work. So it can be quite scary when things start changing and suddenly you feel out of control of your body. And then obviously, you know, the automatic reaction for so many of us is, how can I control more? How can I, you know, hone in more? How can I eat less and work harder? And all those things that actually end up being the things that make more harm than good.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. And it's such a great ode to everything that I kind of been talking about in the Goddess Code around money and around business and around this narrative that struggle and sacrifice is the route to success. And I think it's something I fervently disagree with, and no doubt will probably become my mission statement over the next couple of years, I feel. But I really feel that in the space of body transformation and in health. So for a little bit of context for everyone, I've talked in the podcast, you know, for a long time ago about the fact I had a number of health issues when I was 25, 26. that all stem from having a breast implant rupture. And in reality, a lot of those health issues have been with me my whole life. I just wasn't aware of them, and they were brought to the surface through trauma. That's what trauma does, right? Is it brings things that you haven't healed to the surface. And so I did a lot of work on myself at that point, and that really opened me up to naturopathic nutrition, to functional nutrition. You know, I had stool tests and urine tests and blood tests, and I mean, I was literally a pincushion. So, and that took me years and years and years to get well. And then about 18 months ago, things started to go a bit crazy, and to the point that I would wake up itching my skin off in the night. I would be having hot flushes. I was getting PMT, and then more recently, what I would class as symptoms of PMDD. And my periods were going from, you know, 28 days to 37 days, and I was just bleeding for like 1 day. And so everything really started to change. And so that's when obviously I spoke to Sarah initially kind of last year and was like, things feel a bit off. I'm not sure really what's happening. And then this year it reached the point where I was like, do you know what? No, like, I'm not doing this because I want to be thinner. I'm not doing this because I want to be like, you know, I don't like myself. I'm doing this because I like myself. I'm doing this because I value myself. And one of the things I've said inside the Goddess Code is, where are you treating yourself like a commodity rather than an investment? And I was like, if I am going to walk my walk, and the things that I am encouraging my clients and the future clients to focus on in their business and their life, I need to be embodying that energy with the way that I look at food and the way that I look at my body. And I was like, look, it's not like I've got absolutely nothing wrong with me and I feel amazing. There are things that are going on that need to shift. So we did a couple of tests, and I also need to do some gut work. And so I am at this point 4 weeks in.
4 weeks.
3.5, 4 weeks in. I mean, guys, I've got to tell you, I will, by the time this goes out, I will not have my before and after pictures for you. But if you stay tuned for a couple more podcasts or on the Instagrams, whatever, you'll see them. And I want to be clear, there is a big difference because I'm a very small person, as you can probably tell by the height of this table. I'm a very small person, so a couple of kilos looks like a lot on me. But the difference in just 4 weeks of focusing on health and well-being, on high calories, supporting the liver and the gut, has been transformational. And so really that's what led me back to having this conversation with Sarah, was to really talk about the difference between body transformation, where the focus is struggle and sacrifice, and body transformation, where the focus is nourishment and well-being.
Yeah. And so I think so many females, you know, really the focus is always, I want to lose weight, I want to look better because it makes us feel better. And there's nothing wrong with, wanting to feel good in the way that we look. It makes us feel confident. But the problem comes when that is the only focus over actual, like you said, nourishment and health. And so we have to work out really, what is the underlying roots of everything and how can we nourish the body in the way to actually get it to respond? Because losing weight is a byproduct of a healthy body. Yeah. You shouldn't be stuck in a body that you cannot lose weight in. That's just not how the body functions. If everything is working well, you should have a metabolism that works well. So it's like that comes from nourishment. Your metabolism works when you nourish your body. And the problem is if we keep restricting, and I can say this from experience myself, then that's when we get stuck and the metabolism downregulates. And that doesn't just mean metabolism of food. We always think just metabolism is about burning calories. It's also metabolism of toxins, metabolism of hormones. So when you downregulate someone's metabolism through chronic dieting for far too long, which so many females have done to try and get to that goal weight, to get to that goal body shape that they're looking for through sacrifice and pushing harder, we then end up being full of toxins, being like a toxic bucket, having hormones that aren't getting out of the system properly, and then they go, create havoc and more symptoms, and then we're just stuck, and then it does the complete opposite of what we want. We end up actually gaining weight and feeling puffy and inflamed because we've got far too many toxins lurking in the system, and that creates more fat because it's stored in fat cells as a kind of safety mechanism by the body, and hormones not being detoxed properly. Again, that whole shift can cause you just to be puffy and inflamed and not feel great. And so kind of going back to my story with all of this, I've been on such a journey with all of this, and it's been such a, can I swear, head fuck over my time.
Babe, some people literally watch the podcast just for the amount of times I say fuck.
Good. Okay, we're in good company.
Should we play bingo? Do you want to play bingo with the word fuck for this podcast? Because we
can. How can we get in? So
put your guesses in now in the comments.
So my journey kind of into the whole health world started in a way that I actually didn't even really realise. So my mum went through menopause at 32 years old. And I look back at that now, and if I knew then, obviously I didn't, but if I did know then what I know now, I would have been like, right, there was probably so many things that could have been done that would have actually probably not been her hormones probably weren't the root cause. There was probably other things that were actually driving that to be the case, because it's not physiologically normal for someone to go through menopause at 32. And again, it could be, things that have shifted through trauma, stress, etc. that happened in life that have then led to that happening. So I was kind of exposed to the health world at a very young age, because my mum was really failed by mainstream medicine, if I'm honest. She, was put onto HRT at the time, which was horse's urine. I mean, whoever thought that was a good idea, I have no idea. And they didn't really have bioidentical progesterone or anything like that in mainstream medicine at that point. And it was not good. Like, she lost lots of hair, she lost all her confidence. It was just like watching her go from being like this bubbly, confident human being to being who she was. It was like a completely different woman. But what was so amazing about it was she decided that she would not settle for that. And she was like, right, I will figure out what's going on. So she did all of the research. She read all of these books. She used to drag me around this bloody shop called Culpeppers, which I hated at the time. It was like this herbal shop, and I was like,
and we've literally just been talking about how much money we spend in Whole Foods and Planet Organic.
Exactly.
So that's just
now
so
I
funny.
would be in heaven. But at the time I was just like, I'm going to this bloody herbal shop again. And she actually, after reading loads of books, then went and fought with the doctors to prescribe her bioidentical progesterone. And this was, my mum's 72 now, I think.
So 40 years ago.
Yeah,
wow.
When that was just not a thing. And they were like, no, we can't prescribe it. And she was like, you will prescribe it. And they eventually did. So that was kind of my starting point into the whole kind of holistic world. But then I struggled with my own health challenges massively. As a teen, 20-year-old, I had an eating disorder, very orthorexic around food, very conscious of my body, then became a professional dancer, which made me even more conscious of my body, and everything really kind of pinned on how I look. And it took a lot of unpicking to get me out of that, but it was a lot of, like we've spoken about restriction, pushing myself, pushing my body, always doing more and eating less was how you got to where you wanted to be, push all the time. And I didn't really realize what that was doing to my body until later in life, when the wheels literally fell off the cart. And at the time, it was after I'd had COVID, so I kind of blamed COVID for everything. I mean, it wasn't the best thing, but still, can't blame it for life. And my immune system just went crazy after that. But the reality is, like you said, it made me face up to things that actually were the things that I needed to face up to, but I just wasn't willing to at the time. It made me really kind of do the deep work to understand my beliefs around food, around my body, about confidence and all the stuff that I'd kind of brushed under the carpet and just knew was kind of there but didn't really want to think about. So yeah, that's kind of what led me to where I am now, and really helping women in particular. I do work with some men, but understand that yes, absolutely, there may be periods, let's say we're going through protocols where we may have to bring calories down, etc., for a reason, but it's never about like deprivation. It's never about like this chronic dieting and pushing your body to extremes to get to where you want to be. It's got to be about like thinking of it in a different way, where you're actually, like you said, it's not about the body goal, it's about the health goal and the nourishment goal, and feeling good because you want to feel good, not just focusing on a number on a scale that means everything to you. That happens because you start looking after your body and you start valuing it in a completely different way. So for me now, it's like when I think about health and my body, and people are always like, oh, you're so disciplined around food. And I'm like, it's not discipline. I love how I eat because I know how it makes me feel and I know what it does to my body.
I mean, aren't you shocked that your husband was like, seriously, you can have wine, she won't care? And I was like, no, I feel really good.
Yeah,
I'm fine.
I feel
Like,
good.
how good is that after 4 weeks?
This is it.
That's the exact same thing, is that feeling good is what we value. But I think there's so much I'll let you finish your point about the narrative is so around this kind of like struggle and sacrifice and this sense of
all the things that you love.
Yeah, and it's never... And I've never needed to be disciplined about something I really desire.
Yeah, so true. So true. And that's exactly it. It's like when you start viewing your health and your body in a different way, everything shifts. So for me, after that whole kind of experience where I had what you'd class as long COVID for 3 years and I felt like absolute trash, and I gained 10 kilos that was completely out of my control. I could have done all the diets in the world and eaten nothing, and it did nothing. And it wasn't until I regained my health that I had such a different outlook really on my body and nourishing my body and having this kind of other level of respect for looking after it. And I always kind of say this to my clients, like, it's when you truly value yourself and you understand what you're putting into your body and how it's impacting you, you make different choices naturally. For me, it's never about going, oh, I can't have that off a menu. It's like, but how's that going to make me feel, and what's that doing to me? What's that actually doing to my body? And what that does to my body then impacts how I feel, how I show up in the world, how I perform, how I live. And I want to live in a place of feeling great, optimal health, feeling energetic and motivated, and my brain feeling good, not like half-ass.
Yeah. And this is, I mean, I literally feel like, and Sarah hasn't actually had any insight into any of the Goddess Code modules yet,
No.
but I'm like, well, I talked about that in module 1, and that in module 2, and that in module 3, and it's this narrative around, like, I would rather, or if this, or when I, then I, or if I can't do that, or I'm not allowed to do that, or I have to give up that in order to have that. And like, that's just not the narrative. And I think people think I'm saying that you can eat all the chocolate that you want and then still be the body goal you want, or that you can never work on your business and be a millionaire. And that's not what I'm saying.
No.
What I'm saying is, when you actually tap into looking at your business as something, so these are the 4 perception shifts that I talk about inside the Goddess Code. So the one is looking at money as kind of an exploration of soul expansion. So that the more that you expand on your soul's purpose and what feels good to you, the more wealthier you'll be, right?
True.
So rather than thinking of money as a commodity, think of it as that. So your soul being actually like your business. So rather than thinking of it as a thing that you do that is your work or makes money, and this applies to career, is thinking of that more like as your soul's expression.
Yeah, and that's so true, because the more I've gone on this journey in like with my business in nutrition, I've never really actually set any goals with it, but it's just happened because I know it's my purpose, and it's like it's like I embody everything that it is, and it's not like, and this sounds really wanky, and I don't mean it in the way of it's not like work. It is work, but I don't view it as like, this is what I do to make money. It's like, this is what I do because this is what I'm meant to do.
And it makes money.
Yeah.
And it makes money.
Yeah.
This is the thing. And the final 2 things are that your love life or your kind of relationships, so multiple outside of love life, is your kind of your soul's exploration. So it's learning things. It's learning about dynamics and taking experiences and going, oh, that was hard, or that was interesting. And then the final one being that your body is a vessel for your human experience.
Yeah.
Like, it's rather than seeing your body as this like functional thing that you use, actually seeing it as the thing that you worked through and you moved through and you embody. And that's really been the shift for me in my business, in my wealth, in my relationships, in, you know, particularly in my body more recently as well, is like looking at myself and my life rather than as this kind of like list of tick things I need to get done, or this roadmap with destinations that I have to hit all these markers on this destination in order to be somebody or in order to be worth something. This conditional sense of worth is, and this is really what the Goddess Code is about, is helping women go on this journey, is actually being somebody who believes in unconditional worth, unconditional ease, unconditional magic. Because when we're not in conditions, that's when it all flows. That's when it's easy.
Yeah, so true. So true. And it's like you said, it's not about not doing the work, and it's not about not doing the process. You know, like I said, with my clients, when I work with my clients, sometimes I have to put them through fucking tough protocols. You know, it's not always going to be bright and rosy, but again, it's about what's the emphasis behind it. So when I've been through these protocols myself, people are always like, my God, that must have been so hard. And I was like, it wasn't hard, because it was harder living in a body that couldn't function.
Didn't love me back.
Yeah. And I wanted to, and I could not live half-ass. I could not spend the rest of my life living half-ass. So I was like, this to me is not hard. This is me just doing the things that my body needs right now, because I value it enough to get it back into a state of complete regulation so that I can live properly.
And like, it's no coincidence to me that, you know, the second when I stopped telling the stories of sacrifice around my business, that my business started to grow.
Yeah.
That when I stopped telling the stories of sacrifice around money, that money just started to flow in from the fucking craziest places. It's not a surprise to me that when I shifted the energy around my body, and this was a couple of years ago, that actually I maintained a weight of like a really good shape and weight and I basically eating whatever I want, obviously going for a different season now, but like, you know, I didn't have to try. I never dieted. I haven't been in a calorie deficit for about 4 years. Even for my wedding, I didn't diet. I just moved a little bit more because I was like, do you know what? I actually want to feel a bit tighter, so I'm just going to do more steps. And so like, it was more around the perception shift. This is where the Goddess Code came from, really, was like understanding that the stories of sacrifice that live both in the patriarchal business world, in hustle culture, and massively in diet culture are created to keep us in this state of that we don't have ultimate control over our life, that we don't have choice, that we don't have freedom. And if you're ever going to really break free, you've got to break free from conditions and to be able to see yourself unconditionally. So I guess let's talk about diet culture. So obviously I would say there's two schools of movement right now. One that is, and I'm supportive, I see both, and I'm not supportive of either.
Yeah.
So one is eat less, move more. And I'm massively pushed by male personal trainers. Sorry, dude, but it is a lot of the time. Like, massively pushed by male personal trainers. And they have a point. A lot of the time, people are eating inordinate portions, way too much.
Yeah, and very unconsciously.
And very unconsciously, because they're, you know, using food for more than just food,
Yeah.
for more than just, you know, I need dinner, I'm hungry. And also maybe not an active person, because a lot of people have very sedentary jobs. So that, it holds a point.
Yeah,
but then
it's not the full picture.
It's not the full picture. But then there's the other side of it, which is, you know, your hormones are the reason that you're not where you want to be. And if you know, all these fucking cortisol resets by somebody who literally just left school. I'm like, I'm not sure what you know about stress, but sure.
Yeah.
You know, like, so there's these two narratives right now, and how do you reconcile them? Because, you know, and just to add to that, then we've got the influx of the GLP-1s. So you and I both don't necessarily have a negative opinion on GLP-1s. We both sit in a quite agnostic, neutral place, depending on the application. So I guess with these three things happening, people are freaking overwhelmed. They're lost. They're confused. There's a supplement saying, take this for your gut, because the gut's the reason everything's wrong with you. And the reason that you're fat and miserable is your hormones. And the reason that you don't have the body you want is because you don't move enough. And like, people are overwhelmed. They're lost. They're confused. Very similar to the business world. So where does somebody go from there, you know?
Oh, that's a question.
I know, it's a big one. Sorry about that. You want a drink?
I think I need about 3. It's the thing we have to remember is that we are all in different seasons of life, and we have different bodies, and we're made differently. So genetics play a role for everybody in how their body functions, but your life, the way that you perceive stress, the way that you perceive the world, all of these things make a difference to how your body is functioning. So I guess, like, the reality is, number one, you have to be thinking, how honest am I with myself about my lifestyle, right? That would be step number one. So as you said,
how many biscuits are you actually eating?
Yeah. Are you unconsciously eating, or are you consciously eating, and eating because it's nourishing, or eating because it's filling a void, covering up an emotion? You're not dealing with what actually needs to be dealt with.
And actually, just on that point, we had a mutual client, and she'll know who she is, but we would obviously, and she said, this is what she said to us recently, actually, both of us. I think it was on a joint client call. She actually said this. And she said this thing, and she was like, what I realized was I wasn't just eating when I was sad or when I was happy. I was just eating so I didn't have to feel anything.
Yeah.
And that is what happens. And it happens so unconsciously. I've even noticed it since being on your protocol with you, where I've been a bit uncomfortable because maybe my histine's been a bit mad. And I've been like,
I want something to take away the...
Because I was not in a body I didn't like,
Yeah.
I didn't have to notice it before now. So I think people think that's for someone else, that doesn't apply to them. And I would just say, maybe just take that story I've just given you and just take a little second, because you'd be shocked.
You really would. Like I did a 5-day fast in January.
Crazy.
I know, I'm not going to say it was fun, but it was interesting because it really makes you assess your relationship with food. Because the reality is, from not eating food for 5 days, you're not going to die.
No.
Like, you're not going to die. You've got enough body fat on you to live. But the stories that go through your head when you're doing something like that, and the amount of times you realise that you just want to go to the fridge for no reason. And yes, there's hunger, but hunger really is an emotion. You know, it's not like you're going to die if you don't eat there and then you get a rumbly stomach. But it's so interesting what it starts to bring up, and it really makes you sit with feelings and emotions that are not comfortable. So it's actually, and so many people who have done long fasts will be able to attest this. It's quite a spiritual journey that you go on when you go through something like that. Because it makes
now
you...
I want to do one.
Yeah, yeah.
She's just trying to trick me into doing a fast.
I might make you do that. But it's so interesting because it did make me realise how quickly I can just go to a cupboard and pick something out quickly. And it's not even something like, like a biscuit. Yeah, it would be like, a handful of nuts or a bit of fruit or a square of 100% dark chocolate, which is my idea of fun. It's things like that, but it's so easy to just do. And again, it's through... I would find myself doing it because I'd been working a lot and I was overwhelmed, or if I was tired, or if I was bored. We use it for everything. So you have to firstly start there and assess your relationship with food.
So it's not, what you're saying to me is you did a 5-day fast and then you did root cause therapy with me because something came up.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I need help now.
Oh, the timings of that are interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So there is merit, absolutely, in, calories in, calories out. Yes, it is true. We cannot deny that calories play a role. And if someone wants to lose body fat, they need to be in a deficit. That is true. But it's about knowing when your body's in a deficit. Because if you chronically diet, which many women do, again, the average woman diets twice a year. So every time we're doing that, we're slowing down our metabolic rate. So if you keep doing that and you don't refeed that metabolic rate up again, then you're basically down-regulating it all the time. So when you think you're in a deficit because you're now on 1,400 calories, you're not. That's your body's maintenance now. So then in order to go below that, you have to go below that to lose weight. So then that becomes your new norm. So then it's 1,200 calories. Then it becomes 900 calories. And before you know it, it's like, oh, brilliant. Well, I have to eat 500 calories.
I'm not fucking eating and I'm not losing weight.
Exactly. And then what happens with that? Hormones go up the chute. Cortisol goes up the chute. All the other things that you've mentioned, the things that go up the chute and screw your body up long term. So there is merit in it, but it's knowing, are you in a deficit or not? Because if you've chronically dieted, you probably need to do the complete opposite, and you need to spend time out of a deficit, feeding your body, nourishing your body.
Which is exactly what both of us did. So when I post my 4-week transformation with Sarah, the difference looks like fucking loads, but also the difference is I came into the work with Sarah already on at least 2,000 calories, not of all great quality nutrition food. Sure, there was meals at the weekend what maybe weren't, but I came in on a high amount of calories and a moderate amount of steps. I wasn't working out 5 days a week, eating 1,200 calories, because we would be doing a very different approach if that was the case. I think I on truthfully honestly spent years actually allowing my metabolism to come back up. But a big part of that was also dealing with all the nervous system stress, the emotional stuff I hadn't dealt with, so that I could actually feel safe enough to not need food. Yeah. And that I could actually, my nervous system could relax, so cortisol could come down, so I didn't get hungry all the time.
This is it.
It's such a difficult place, isn't it? Because we want to pick something, we want to pick food and a diet and go, right, this is what I'm going to focus on and this is what I'm going to do, and everything works together. So someone right now is probably thinking, okay, right, I'm hearing you, Sarah. I'm hearing the fact that I'm probably not in a deficit, maybe because I've been chronically over dieting. I want to do GLP-1s. Yeah. Because I've seen some great results with GLP-1s and some beautiful approaches to it, and I've also seen some shocking approaches to it.
Oh, 100%.
And you are somebody who is very informed, and I'm genuinely interested in your opinion on it.
So absolutely, GLP-1s, when they are done in the right way with the right support, can be a lifesaver for people. Because when someone has chronically dieted, they often end up with insulin that is far too low and their hormones not firing when they should, and it can help regulate that again. That it can also massively help with things like inflammation, and obviously getting blood sugars in check, etc. really helps the body function in general, and that can help with immune system, that can help with brain function. So there's lots of great things about them. The problem is they're being abused. So, the starting dose is far too high for a start. Even the 2.5 milligrams that you would get from a doctor, in my opinion, is far too high. You should start on the lowest possible dose, and it's all about minimal effective dose. And then what people are then doing is they go, right, okay, brilliant. So I've lost some weight on this, so now I'm going to put the dose up because it worked. So then more is going to be better, and more is going to be better. So it's that whole thing again of push
hustle
harder.
culture.
Yeah.
More is better. More is better.
Yeah.
And it's fucking not.
No, absolutely not. Because then all you're actually doing is basically suppressing your hunger, which is not the point of a GLP. It's not about not eating. It's about getting the mechanisms of your body working again and reducing and inflammation working better and these hormones firing better. So you shouldn't be on stupidly high cranked doses so that you don't eat and your stomach's and then you flake off all your muscle and then you're in a much worse position when you come off of it. So there are some great things with them and some terrible things with them. And again, it comes back down to the individual. A lot of the time, it comes back down to, I get it when people are desperate. I get what it feels like when you feel uncomfortable in your body. I've been there when I gained 10 kilos and I felt completely out of control.
I've been 10 kilos heavier than this. No one would ever believe that, but I have.
Yeah, exactly. And you look back at pictures now and people are like, oh, yeah, now I can see it.
Now I can see it. Your face was like this.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, yeah, I could see it at the time. You couldn't, but I could. So it's I get what it feels like to feel like that. And I get what it feels like to feel like you've tried everything and done everything. And it's this is the last thing that's going to work. But have you ever actually worked with someone? Because most people haven't. Most people think they've tried everything. And I'm like, yeah, you've tried it on your own. Do you know the order of operations to put things in? Have you truly committed to something? And have you committed to someone who can guide you in the right processes to get things back in balance? Because unless you are trained in these things, in functional nutrition, in health, you think you know, but you don't know because you've not spent years and years looking inside the body. It's like me thinking I'm a therapist and I can work all my shit out myself. I can't. I don't know what you know. I know stuff.
Yeah, you know loads, but I get it. You need, but also it's like me. I actually know quite a lot about gut health and nutrition, my own experiences, my own study. But the second, I'll be honest, my stool test just came back with basically a bit of H. pylori. Wasn't really having many symptoms, the odd bit of stomach acid. So I didn't really have anything that was oh fucking hell, So I could have been cool. I'm just gonna look at what I need to do, and I'm gonna take an approach. But I was no. I was I'm an investment. And
absolutely,
what happens next for me, one, I want to just be really good at the shit I'm really good at and focus on that. And this is where I also think women are being forced to spread themselves so thin. But I saw that as me going, this is going to blow my business out the fucking water. This is going to blow my energy out the water. Not straight away, I will warn you. And this is what I'm, so I was no, the only person I could possibly do this with is Sarah. And don't get me wrong, there were some parts of the first bit. When I looked, I started to put fennel in a shake. I was
what are you doing to me?
I looked at my husband and I was
she's making me eat grass.
I think she's lost it. I was I don't think she knows what she's doing. And then, do you know what? If I don't put fennel in my shake, I'm it doesn't taste right. It doesn't taste right. So I do love it now. But the point was, it was never an option. And I appreciate that sometimes people feel finance is not an option, but do you know what? I'm going to actually put the meme that my husband saw that we were just laughing about earlier. That was crackheads are broke, and yet they still find a way to get crack.
This is it. Yeah.
And it's not about this is, and this I want to be really clear. This is not another part of the narrative of hustle culture of make it happen. This is look at your life and ask yourself where you want to be with your body, with your business, with your money, whatever the subject is that's resonating with you, and ask yourself how am I going to get there? And if you don't know how, you don't need to know the whole how. But if there's somebody that's done it before you who can help you get there quicker, why would you not want that?
This is it. And I know it can be scary because it's giving over your control
I was scared. I'm still scared. I say that to you every week. I'm what's she going to make me do now?
And I get it. I've been there. And sometimes it's harder the more you know because it's harder to let go.
It is harder because the more I know, because I'm but why would we do that when I can also do that? And she's we're doing this. And I'm okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been there myself where I've been I know they know what they're doing, but I kind of know too. And now I'm not sure. So I'm going to question it and be I'm going to half do it.
But questioning is also part of your soul's exploration.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So it is that thing of thinking where do you invest? For me, I will always invest in coaches, in people that can get me to where I would like to be, where I feel my best self, where I'm happy in the way that I look, that I can learn from, that I subconsciously know that I've dealt with shit that needs to be dealt with. So that would be, my advice is if you haven't trained in it, you don't know what you don't know. And yes, you might have read books and stuff, but have you physically trained in processes that actually move the needle forward to where you want to be? Because you're an individual at the end of the day as well. And also we don't always see our own blind spots. And this is why I have a health coach as a health coach myself, because
I have a therapist and a root cause therapist.
Yeah, exactly. Because they can see in you what you can't see in you. And also when you're left to your own devices, sometimes you double take everything, you question everything. You're like, I could do this and I could do that because that could work, but that could work. And then you drive yourself fucking mental, overthinking, and you're stressed. Whereas just giving over the control and surrendering to the process through someone else that you trust. And that's the key. You have to find someone that you fully trust. Like when I've been through protocols and I've worked with different practitioners, you know, I've had different therapies and the same with nutrition, etc. If I've not fully trusted that person, it's been really hard and it's not got me to where I want to be. When I worked with you, it was like, holy.
We went at the speed of light.
Oh my God, I was like, what the hell was that? Like, what the hell just come up? Like,
it went so fast, even I was like, Christ.
Yeah, it was bonkers shit. Like, crazy stuff came up.
But everything you just said though, you literally like, you're an individual, you can read the books, but it's the same thing with business. It's the same thing with money. It's the same thing with personal development. Like, we could, and I'm a big fan of like self-exploration of all these things. Like you want to be reading up on stuff on nutrition, like you want to be an educated person, but if there is something that you're like, I want this and this is where I want to go down, and it exists, like why would we not dive into it? It's the same thing in business culture and personal development. We can all read books, but I can tell you that you're never going to find what's in the Goddess Code, babes, in a book.
This is it. It's the application. It's knowing and knowing how to make it right for you at the end of the day, because you are an individual with different experiences, different life circumstances, different genetics. All of those things play a role into how something will work for you. And that's why nutrition is unbelievably confusing, because there could be one supplement that is the freaking bee's knees for one person. You put it in someone else's body and they respond completely different.
With that one supplement on the first day, gave me a migraine, put me in bed.
Exactly.
Like, one supplement. I mean, what was it you did? And it really made me think about this, that I was like, oh, it was juice. So I'm not going to tell you my whole plan, don't worry. But like there was something, I was like, she wants me to drink juice.
This is it. Women get like that every time someone starts and they're like, you put fruit juice in my plan. I'm like, yes, and lots of it. Because it's going to upregulate your metabolism.
I literally was like that. I was like, right.
50% carbs. And women are like, oh my God, you're making me eat carbs.
I was like, my teeth, I was like,
yeah.
I was like,
I know.
It was so funny. And then she said to me, and now we're going to do some low carb. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to have my shake anymore.
I like my juice.
And I was obsessed with my fucking shake. But that's the point, is like you question stuff because, you know, and I think it's always ingrained in you. It's a little bit like there will be parts of hustle culture wondering if you're ever doing enough in your business. Like with nutrition and diet culture, they'll always still be a bit like, oh, well, that's a simple sugar I just don't need. We were actually talking about how we hate when people put sugar in supplements. So, do you know what I mean? But I would have questioned that had I looked at a plan downloaded off the internet or asked ChatGPT, you know, although I do love a conversation with the odd ChatGPT, you know, if I downloaded that off that, I would have been like, well, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
This is it.
Even if I can't do exactly what I want me to do, I can kind of go, what are you trying to get me to do with that?
Yeah.
And then I'll adjust accordingly. But it's understanding that you can have the knowledge, but to your point, it's the application. It's the same thing with social media. Like, none of us know how to use the algorithm. I certainly don't.
No.
But like, we can all post the same post. We could all post the exact same post, the exact same video, the exact same... It's going to do different things for different people because... And part of my like real core beliefs on soul purpose is your soul purpose and soul exploration and soul experience is designed to be different than somebody else's.
Yeah,
so that will come with hardships too.
Yeah, 100%. But the hardships are what lead to the great things, and they're the lessons. Like if I look back at that 3 years where at the time it was fucking horrid and I was like, I do not want to be living like this anymore. I cannot stand feeling like shit and looking like shit all the time. But it was the biggest...
Just to be clear, she did not look like shit.
Well, I did look quite puffy.
She thinks that she looked like shit, but she just looked a little bit puffy.
A little puffy. The eyes were quite puffy on regular occasions. But it was like that 3 years was actually where I learned the most I've ever learned in my entire life. Like literally, and it was what helped me find my soul purpose. Like if I hadn't been through that, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing.
And it's funny though, because you say that, right? And so I could say this about my 2 years where I was in a period of what people would classically call burnout. But whereas I felt disconnected and lost from life and completely empty and numb to everything, was where from that I became a root cause therapist. But what's funny is I feel like I've always known what your soul purpose is for the time I've known you. I would have been like, well, you're supposed to be a nutritionist. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to do anything else. You're really good at that. Stop doing this. Stop doing that. Just do that. But most people have said to me, well, duh. Like, you were always supposed to go do this. What? But that's the thing, the blind spot. Is you're never going to see it. That's the whole point of investing in yourself, is to grow and expand yourself. Did you just get a massive whiff of coffee? I was like,
so it's Ben making more coffee? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
It smells amazing. I'm sorry, my brain just went, coffee. I was like, this is gone. The point is, that is exactly it. It's like, that people are going to see things in you that you do not see in yourself.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like you need someone sometimes to highlight the blind spots that you don't see. And it's thinking like, every book you read, there's so many things in there that you could implement that might be great, but you don't know. And you can't implement everything. And then that's where the confusion lies, because you read one book that says never touch a carb again. And then you read another book that's like the sugar diet and the carbs are the best thing in the world. And then you're like, well, what am I supposed to do?
And it's a balance of choosing your thing. So like you've chosen your approach and protocols, and obviously they get tweaked for every person. Like I make courses, that is a chosen process and plan. So this course is for deep healing trauma. The Goddess Code is for like expansion and like stepping into that ease and flow. Like they have clear processes, but otherwise, like, I even just reading personal development books, you read one that's like, trust the process, chill out, don't fucking do anything. The next one's like the 12
Work harder.
And I like them all. Like, there's always something from every single one of them. But in order to choose, you have to decide. Yeah. And when we live in this world of we're responsible for everything and we have to take everything on, and I think that's the backwards thing that's happened with the feminism as a movement, is we've gone from wanting to have equal right to now doing all the things that we wanted to do and doing all the things we were doing before. So now we're doing everything.
Yeah.
And so actually that wasn't quite the plan, right? The plan was just to give us the opportunity to do what we wanted. And now women are taking on the home life and the work life and the financial life, and then putting themselves under the pressure to be a page 3 model, with all those perfect things, and then be thin enough to wear a size 6 after 3 kids. And that's when we're burnt out and overwhelmed. And so by alleviating some of the pressure, we change everything, because we give ourselves so much room.
That's it. It's like room to breathe again, and to actually just focus on the things that you want and the things that you want to be and where you want to go, but without it being like all this, like you said, pressure, hardship, forcing, stress that we view as being like, we wear it like badges of honor, don't we? The harder I work, the more successful I am.
It's not cool. Like, this is the thing I'm going to fight for so hard. It's like, I don't want to be busy and burnt out as my badges of cool. I want to be in my ease and flow, what I'm calling well-resourced, well-rested, and well-fucking rich era.
Yeah. Like 100%. I mean, why would you not? If you can have that or you can have that, which would most people want? I want the freedom to do what I want and live how I want, but I want shitloads of money to do it as well. Well, you can have both. You don't have to buy into the narrative that everything has to be a hardship. And the same with your body. You don't have to buy into the narrative that it has to be stress, it has to be hard work, it has to be torture, giving up everything. It's about your perception of what you view food as and use it as. That's the difference.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's been really interesting actually, is it's about choice. So you mentioned right at the beginning about the discipline and the sacrifice, and like, so disciplined with food. And actually, I think it's actually about conscious choice. So like, obviously you've competed before and I've BB Pro, my husband's a bodybuilder. And one of the things that drives him particularly crazy, and he's in the other room, so he'll probably hear this and be like, amen, is, oh yeah, buddy, depending on the mood, is...
If he's not asleep.
If he's not asleep on Sarah's sofa, is the narrative that when people are competing on that they are somehow sacrificing and struggling and discipline.
Used to piss me off
and
as
it's
well.
like, you are choosing to do this.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing. Like if you are in a position where you need to diet for your health, let's say you need to lose some weight, let's say that's a thing that you need to do for health regardless of your choice, that's still not a sacrifice.
No.
Because since when has being healthy and fit with a regulated metabolism and a regulated nervous system, since when has that been a sacrifice?
That's it. It's like, what do you choose to be a sacrifice? What do you decide is the sacrifice? And so for me, I'm like, food is great and I love food, but it's always going to be there. And it's like, again,
but that's an abundance mindset, you see, and it's the lack mindset that the world is fed. This narrative of like, there's not enough money, there's not enough of this, you need to give up this,
rolls.
There's not enough this.
Go and buy all the toilet rolls.
Like, there's not enoughness. It's this rooted in this, I'm not enough, the world is not enough, there's not enough, with money, with business, with body. And it is interesting because you see the switch. Like, I've seen the switch with you in abundance massively over the last few months, particularly. Like, the difference is, and when you see that switch in someone, everything feels abundant. It's not just money or business, or it's everything. Yeah,
it's so true. So true. It translates into every single area of your life because it's all rooted in the same stuff, whether it be the body, the health, the business, that it's all deep rooted in the same stuff, which is, like you said, I'm not enough. I need to be more. I need to work harder to be more in order to be seen. And all of that is what comes up. And it's like, it doesn't mean don't go for your goals and want to achieve things.
Desire is your fucking birthright.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's about the way you do it. It's about the feeling you have behind it and the pressure you put onto it in a way that becomes unhealthy.
Yeah, especially when it comes to food, especially when it comes to the if I then I, when I've lost weight, when I'm smaller, when I'm thinner, when I get back in those jeans, like that conditional worth that's so attached to your body. It's impossible to be in an abundance mindset in your business, in your relationship, in your, I mean, I don't know about you, but if I've ever been in a dieting phase, then it's the last time I want to have sex. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not thinking, oh, do you know what? Do you know what I want right now?
Yeah.
Like, I am eating broccoli and white fish right now. And do you know what I want more than anything? Says no one ever, right?
No.
Because the energies of like, and we're gonna bring the goddess word in here, like the energies of like that divine feminine, like the embodied feminine energy, which I talk a lot about in the course, is like someone who's just like in their intuitive flow, who just feels aligned, who's like everything's easy. And because it is, not because life is easy, but because the way they do things is easy. So I haven't looked at my plan and gone, oh fucking hell. I'm like, okay, yeah, I need a few days to get my head around this and then what we're doing. And you know, there's always a transition period, but
Totally.
now it's like the easiest thing in the world to make decisions that make me feel amazing. And so because of that, I take a renewed sense of that flow and ease into like my relationship.
Yeah.
So then I can be in my desire energy because I'm not thinking about my suffering and sacrifice.
Yeah.
So then my business this month is, it's not shocking to me. The last few months of this, anyway, I was only like 10 days in to this, not even that. This month is my best month in business all fucking year. That is not a surprise to me because I'm embodying the energies of desire and flow and ease because I'm not focusing on what I'm giving up.
That's it.
I'm focusing on where I'm going and what
you're gaining from the experience.
rather than getting. The word getting is another knack word.
Yeah. But it's so true. It's so interesting when you work with clients because the way that people respond when you give them a plan is so, like, watching it is so interesting. Like, one person's like, panic, oh my God, I can't do this. Oh. And you can feel like the ultimate fear of, you're changing my routines, you're taking away my things.
Not enough.
And then other people are just like, yeah, great, cool, I can do that. I'm excited for what that's going to bring. And it's the different energy behind it, because again, it's either coming from the place of lack or abundance of like, oh, this is exciting because it's going to move me to where I want to be, rather than you're taking away everything, this is going to be so hard. And it's like, ugh.
And look, and again, this is where there's the balance of me not saying that everything's easy.
No.
It feels easy. It's not easy. Like, I'll be honest, I found some of the days, like I had a day this week, had I known my period was coming, it's coming because it came on time. Ching, ching. But had I known it was coming on time, I probably wouldn't have started my low carb day that day because I didn't know it was coming. So I'll be honest, I was like, holy shit. Right, because I didn't know, because my period was actually on time for the first time in about 9 months. So, but there are things that are going to be hard, but it's not, I still chose that. I chose that day. I could have also chosen to say to you, I'm starting tomorrow, I'm going back to what I was doing before for another. I could have chosen that too. I could have chosen to be like, I'm not doing any of this today because I feel like shit. And that would have been my choice.
That's it.
And it's this narrative that somehow we don't have a choice. But we absolutely do. And if you want to move into the energies where you have unconditional worth, unconditional like magic, unconditional ease, unconditional wealth, all these things, you have to move out of the conditions. And the conditions that we live by are saying that somebody else has the reins, somebody else has control. And that's not what a coach is there for. No. And I think that's sometimes where there's like the confusion of people say, I need accountability. So need for me is I'm in lack, not enoughness. I chose accountability. I chose guidance and accountability. I didn't need accountability. I chose it. So
that's it.
I guess, how does accountability fit in with nourishment? Because that's a kind of an interesting dynamic, right?
It is a very interesting dynamic. And again, I think it's about the perception of what accountability actually is. Do you feel you need accountability because you can't trust yourself? And so because you can't trust yourself, you need someone there to make sure all is well because you can't trust yourself enough around things? Or are you looking at a coach as someone who's a guidance to you, a support system to just nudge you along, but without having to be like, why are you not doing this? So it's very much like again, I think it's an energy behind it. I've never really looked at my coach as accountability. I've looked at them as a guide. They're a guide to me. They help me know and navigate the seasons. And, when there's things that have gone off, like I've, had times where my immune system has gone a bit wild again. And it's like having that person there as a support and a guide has been the thing that's just kept me like, okay, we're all good. I've got someone there who can just tell me this is where we need to go and this is how we're going to fix it. And then my nervous system's like, we're all... But if I was using it more as like accountability, they're the person that's going to keep me on track, it would have a very different feeling behind it, because it's like kind of like that parent-child feeling, rather than actually, no, I'm still in control. I'm the one making the choices, but they're supporting me. It's like that nurturing rather than the telling, if that makes sense. So I would view it like that. When you have a coach, I would consider them as that, your support, your guide, nurturing you, leading you, rather than having someone for accountability. I think you actually need to be accountable to yourself. And again, work on the things that stop you fulfilling your potential. Because what's underlying the reason why you can't stay on track with something? It's never the food. It's never,
or the wine,
ever the food,
or the sugar,
wine.
or the telly, or the social media, or the thing. It's always about, it's as my favorite saying goes, I should have put this on my wall. It's never about what it's about.
No.
And I can promise you, even my own root cause therapy so I did something recently and I was like, oh, that was about that. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, it's never driven from what it's about. It's about the energy, to your point, that's driving it. And I think I see this sometimes with clients who come into a program of mine that offers a one-to-one and the one-to-one is designed to be an accelerating factor, right? Because, for example, me working with you one-to-one is an accelerating factor for me, because we're going to be able to move much quicker than if I was second guessing myself. So my clients, when they come in, not just root cause therapy, but I might open up a one-to-one version of the Goddess Code. I'm TBC on that. But like, it's going to be a much more accelerated version, because I'm going to be saying there is an element of, well, don't come to the call unless you've done the module. That would be like me checking in with you every week, but not following the plan. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
I can't do anything unless you follow something I tell you to do.
So like, there's an element of that, but it's the bit of the person is there to help, back to our point earlier about the blind spots, and to help you see where there's more work for you to do on you, not to do the work for you. Exactly. And I think that's something that can happen a lot in the life coaching and the therapy space that I'm in, is that I'm not your guru. Like Tony Robbins famously made a documentary saying, I'm not your guru. Yeah. Like, I mean, you are a guru, but she's like,
so are you.
Yeah. but you're not my guru. Yeah. Like, I don't rely on you for everything. You are the person I trust and put my trace and trust in around a specific thing to give me or direct me or point me in the right direction. Like, one of the things I give my clients all the time, even you, is like journal prompts, or if they're not a journal prompter, they can voice note prompt it. So if that's a fun fact for you, if you're not a natural writer, or you don't love writing, you can voice note yourself. That works too. Is because I can raise points, but I'm not interested in educating you. Yeah. I'm interested in how that reflects back on you and what you feel about that. And so I think it's an interesting narrative in the coaching space that feeds into this not enoughness, is this sense of like proving, performing, and pleasing, of like, I need to please my coach. I need to prove to my coach I'm following it. I need to perform. I need to like, and that energy is ingrained in us, especially if classic good girl trauma, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it's really difficult to knock out. Yeah. And I think but that is feeding the narratives of not enoughness.
Oh, totally. Again, it's like, sometimes I'll get emails from clients who are just like, I'm so sorry. I've not followed everything. I'm so sorry. I'm afraid. And I'm like, you don't need to apologize to me. It's not about me. This is nothing to do with me. This is about what we need to do for you to get you to where you want to be. So apologizing to me.
You're choosing to be here.
Yeah, exactly. Is doing nothing other than make you feel shame and guilt, because now you're feeling like you've done something wrong. You haven't done anything wrong.
Which is going to paralyze you, and then you're not going to do anything.
Exactly.
And then you're going to go back to the sabotaging behaviors to avoid feeling shame and guilt.
Yeah, exactly. So it always comes back down to that. It's always the underlying things that are the things that make someone successful in anything, or able to follow through with something or not. You can apply it to everything in life. Every kind of scenario in life is all about someone's own ability to follow through. But their ability to follow through always comes back down to what's the underlying roots that are stopping them. You know, it's that self-worth, that self-belief that they have.
I mean, that feels like a perfect time to say about the Goddess Code.
It does.
And I feel like she just literally just went, here you go.
And we planned none of this.
Yeah, I know, we don't ever plan anything. I mean, if we should probably plan timers next time, because it's probably about 3 hours long. But that's exactly it. It's, if we are looking to build that ease and flow in your business, saying you're going to do it with ease and flow is not how we do it. That's like me saying I'm going to work on my gut and not changing anything, because the energies that I'm programmed in, that are my default states, the behaviors, so, you know, thinking about it like your physical, your mental, your emotional, and your spiritual, those 4 pillars of the way you approach your life are conditioned and programmed in one way. And so if we want to find that unconditional ease with our body, with our business, with money, with love, then we have to change all of those things. And that is exactly what the Goddess Code is. It's a 7-step roadmap and 7 steps to creating success in all areas of life without sacrifice, without struggle, like moving out of those energies of proving, performing, pleasing, and into what I'm calling receiving, radiating, and fucking reclaiming. So yeah, if you want to find out more about the Goddess Code, you can check it out, lucysuperfox.com/goddess. If you want to work with Sarah, I will drop her application form. She's application only, I'm afraid. I will drop her application form in,
she's busy.
in the notes below. So any final parting thoughts?
Oh gosh, what are my parting thoughts are, remember that anything that you see, learn, read could be applicable to you, but maybe not. And I know that's probably not what everyone wants to hear, because as human beings, we are like...
Same thing with therapy.
Yeah, we want the simple. We want, you know, this is the action plan that I need to take.
I fixed it.
I know, yeah. Here's the thing I'm going to do for the rest of my life, and it's going to fix everything. And unfortunately, that's not how human beings work. So you have to remember that you're individual, your circumstances are individual, and you have your own blind spots.
Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, it's great, babe. Thank you.
Boom.